and welcome to Charlestown and Beyond. I'm Kathy Giordano, your host for this evening. And before we get started, I want to apologize to you. We had scheduled for tonight's show Suffolk County Sheriff Steve Tompkins, but he was unable to make it because of scheduling problems. We'll have him on at a later date, that's for sure. And we adopted Harvest on the Vine, I've told you that before, and they are coming on to Thanksgiving. So they asked me if I would please ask you for financial donations. Usually I ask you to bring a pound of coffee, a thing of soup, but they buy everything in bulk, as you can well imagine, because they service over 700 Charlestown families. So they could really use your financial help. And whatever you can give, small, large, will be very gratefully received. And you can send your donation to Harvest on Vine, 49 Vine Street, Charlestown, 02129. And I know Tom McDonald and all the volunteers will really appreciate. Thank you so much. Well, we're here for our first live show of Charlestown Beyond. The last two episodes were taped because of those guest schedules, the first being Mia Marty Walsh and the second being Mary Lee Tretanero with our Halloween special. I hope you enjoyed those two shows, and I know you're going to enjoy tonight's show. We're a live call-in show, and I really hope you'll take advantage of that tonight and call in when you find out who's here with me. The phone number is 617-708-3290. Let me go right in and introduce my special guest tonight, Steve Coyne. Thank you for getting here, Steve.
Thank you.
And I know it was an awful long trip for you. You came all the way from Beverly, and it took you over 2 hours.
It did.
I so appreciate it. And you don't look any worse to wear. You're just cool.
Okay.
Okay? Steve is an alumnus of the Bunker Hill Billies. Remember them? And did you pick up on the fact that our opening song is the theme song for the Bunker Hill Billies? That's Charlestown, all Charlestown. And let me just turn it over to you, Steve. You're the historian, you're an alumnus, and let's just start talking about it, okay?
Well, the focus should be the Bunker Hill Billies. The people that don't know, from Charlestown, anybody over the age of probably 30 knows who the Bunker Hill Billies are. The group began as the brainchild of a wonderful gentleman by the name of Bob Munstead. Bob came to the United States from Switzerland at the age of 13, I believe. And Bob was a multi-entertainer. When he was in Switzerland, he learned how to do marionette puppets. He learned how to do ventriloquism. He learned how to play the accordion. He learned how to perform. So when he came to the United States, his parents actually emigrated before him, and he stayed behind with the grandparents, and eventually he came to the United States. So his urge to keep going and doing entertaining brought him actually to short films. And I'll throw the name Irene Ryan at you. Do you know who that is?
I vaguely remember that name.
She was Granny on the Beverly Hillbillies.
That's right.
Bob was in short Western films. I think they were silent films even back in the early days. But something drove him to Charlestown. I'm not sure what, but he had this idea of a performing group, and he approached the Boys Club, and in 1941, in early January, he started the Bunker Hill Billies at the Boys Clubs of Boston. Now that was in January 1941, and if you know your history, in December 1941, Pearl Harbor happened. And Bob, just like anybody else during the time, joined the, I believe it was not the Air Force, but the Army Air Corps. And he went overseas in the Pacific. Now, while he was in the Pacific, yes, he was in New Guinea and a lot of the Corregidor, I don't know, there was a lot of places where he ended up. But one of the things that he did was he developed a relationship with Bob Hope at the USO tours. So there's many pictures of Bob Munstead with his ventriloquism dummy called Alex, actually in uniform and performing for troops.
Wow. We have a phone call.
We do.
All right. Hello, caller.
This is your former mayor.
It is.
Yep.
Oh.
Is that Ray Flynn?
Were you no, it's not Ray Flynn. I'm
Okay.
pretty sure he means mayor of the Boys Club. Am I right?
Bobby Donahue.
Bobby Donahue, the mayor of Charlestown. How are you, Bobby?
Listen, there's a picture I got on here. And that's your brother on the floor, correct?
That's right, with the banjo.
And right behind him is Bobby Cuneo, correct?
Oh, I don't know. I was so much younger than my brother, you know? I don't know.
I was wondering if you had the picture there, he might be able to remember them.
Yeah, the picture will become, here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, it's right behind us, here we go. Yep.
This particular group, I think, was before my time. It was, I would say, late 50s, early 60s, roughly. And you can't see color, but
Yeah.
on purpose I wore
Oh,
this obnoxious shirt.
You did.
This would be the Bunker Hillbilly color shirt with the white tie, with the black hat.
That's right. I know, that was Buddy Two Gun Wheeling down there in the bottom row on the left. And
Right. And I swear right behind him, it looks like Bobby Cuneo, if my eyes are correct.
oh, and that's
Maybe someone else knows who they are, they can call in, but
I
I've been
hope
sitting
so. And
there
that's
trying to figure out who they are.
the middle row, if you would, on the far right is Johnny Porter. Okay?
You know, I think I'm looking way up on the right-hand corner.
Yeah.
I don't want to say the wrong thing, but he looks like one of the Gassos. If he ain't, the other kid on the other end.
It could be.
Yeah.
Could be. Oh, that's
Oh,
great.
Okay, I just want to call and wish you luck, hon. I never called before, so I'm wishing you luck now.
I'm glad you did, Tommy, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Mayor.
you. One of the first mayors of Charlestown. So we
Well, the
were-
reason I said Ray Flynn was Ray Flynn is
He's
an
an
honorary
honorary
Bunker
member.
Hillbilly.
I saw that in what you sent me. Oh, so okay, Bob's in the war.
He's in the war. He comes back. He goes back to the Boys Club and starts it right back up again. And the kids flock to it, you know. And over the years, from roughly 45, 46, I think, all the way to the late 70s, Bob ran that band with probably 100 kids trying out per year.
Wow.
And his tryout was very simple. If you remember looking at the picture, there was a tub drum,
Yep.
and that was your percussion. So part of your percussion. So if you passed the test for him, he'd play a simple song, and if you could do a beat, you know, like a chopsticks or a waltz beat, then he knew you had some rhythm in you. If you flunked that, then you had to be able to sing.
Oh.
So you had to audition, just sing a simple song like Jingle Bells. And if you could not get by that, then there wasn't much he could do with you.
But he taught all these young boys how to play these instruments.
He was there at the Boys Club in the afternoons and on weekends sometimes, and we had regular meetings once you started to get rolling into the group. That was the other thing. It was a commitment. It wasn't like, here you go, you're going to jump up on a stage.
Yeah.
You had to learn songs. He would pick out if you had the talent to play a banjo. He would pick out if you had the talent to be the percussionist, whether it be on that wonderful racket squad we called that had washboard. And, he did a wonderful job. And, you know, when you think of how many lives he touched in Charlestown, there has to be at least 1,000 boys that ran through the program.
Absolutely.
Over the years.
Absolutely. What else did he do at the club? Anything else, or did he devote his time to this?
Well, if you do remember Pleasure Island,
Yes.
okay, in the summertime, Bob was one of their chief entertainers.
Oh.
He would go up there as a magician, as the marionette, as the ventriloquist. So it was a wonderful experience to just know him. Boys were in awe of him,
Oh, I bet.
and we still are.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he's, God rest his soul. He died in 1999. No, was it 99? No, maybe it was. Yeah, I think it was. January 1999.
Wow.
And a few of us did attend the service, and we sang one of his songs at the service. So
That had to be wonderful.
it was. I mean, growing up in Charlestown, the boys' club was
We have another phone call.
okay.
Hello, caller.
Hi, this is Alfalfa.
Oh, Mr. Kelly.
I know Steve's not going to have enough time to. You can never have enough time to really do justice to
No, no.
what Bob did. But Steve was also picked up Bob's baton and ran with it and formed the first co-ed bunk. They weren't called the Bunker Hillbillies, but he did exactly what Bob did for a number of years as well. And I just wanted to say, you know, here Steve's sitting there, and we were in the Hillbillies nearly 50 years ago, and we can remember like it was yesterday. And there's so many sensational musicians out there performing today at all venues of music. And Steve being one of them, he plays in a rock band as well. And we got that from Bob. With the love of music and performing came from Bob. Like Steve was at the White House playing for the president.
You're stealing all my thunder, Kevin.
Oh, sorry. But you know, I just wanted to talk about the camaraderie of going up to the club and being one of the people that were able to walk through the clubhouse door, because the clubhouse door would close behind you, because not anyone could walk in there, and just to be sitting in that small, packed room, performing with Bob, and no one ever acted out to get a black mark.
I bet.
I can't thank you guys enough for getting the word out about the Bunker Hillbillies. And
Well, this is my
thank you very much.
pleasure. This is my treat. And because our show started a little bit late tonight, I'm going to have to close down this filming right now, this live filming. But we are going to pick it up and continue. And that will be, I'll send that out to everyone tomorrow as soon as I receive it. And it will also be seen on YouTube as of tomorrow. Just go to Charlestown Beyond on YouTube anytime by tomorrow afternoon, and you can catch the whole show. And I hope you will all do that. But what do we have, about a minute left before we close? Okay, let's talk. Kevin, throw in some more things. You still on the air? You still with us?
No, he's gone.
He's gone. Okay, you're back.
I'm back. I think we were talking about when Bob obviously was doing this work, Kevin started to bring in some of the special things we did. Now, if you grew up in the area, there were TV shows like Major Mud and Bozo and Boomtown and Jabberwocky. I think that was GBH.
Okay, yeah.
And early on, I think it was that early group that you brought.
My
was
brother
your
Buddy.
brother Buddy? Did
Yep.
he go to New York for Johnny Carson?
I don't believe so. I think he was in 56, 58.
Okay, I think in the early 60s,
Yeah.
there was a group that went to New York, and Johnny Carson had a show before The Tonight Show, which was called Who Do You Trust?
It was during the day, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and the boys were on it, and they made Johnny Carson an honorary hillbilly, and I think they won $200 on some kind of quiz show.
Oh, good for them.
And they performed.
Yeah.
Luckily, the group traveled to New York. We traveled to Washington. As Kevin brought up, he's embarrassing me, but there was a subgroup of the hillbillies called the Ranch House 7,
I remember that.
which developed in the late 60s. And Bob took that group to Washington, D.C. to perform for Nixon in the White House because it was a boys' club convention.
Oh, is that why? I remember seeing the picture, and we will show it when we come back.
Okay.
President Nixon playing the piano, and all you guys standing around him. He looked like he was thoroughly enjoying himself.
It was, you know, you think of I think I was 12, and
Wow,
you
what
jump
an
on an
experience.
airplane, and the first time you're on an airplane, and you go to Washington D.C. and they're picking you up in a limo and taking you to the White House.
Imagine.
He had seen, and I benefited by the fact that he had seen the boys earlier in the 60s in New York at a boys' club convention. And when he got to the White House, there was a convention dinner, and they asked him, "What do you want?" And he said, "Well, get me those kids from Charlestown."
Wow.
And just luckily, I was in the group at that point. So
Oh, okay, we're going to have to close up this portion of it.
Okay.
But we will be back to finish the show. welcome back. This is the second section of the Bunker Hill Billies show, and we're going to pick up where we left off. And Steve just told me that the song you heard just now and at the beginning of every show for Charlestown and Beyond, he is performing in it. Let's go into that.
Well, we had a group of alumni that got together in April, and I believe that was just the instrumental. I think that was us. So
Sounds as good as ever.
yeah, I mean, when we get together, like the expertise of some of the musicians that Bob brought out in everybody just really shines. And you a lot of the guys that do it, you can't teach certain things. You can't teach a certain feel for music.
Yeah.
And none of them read music, to my knowledge. It's more just a feel for the music. And the guys in my years, like Kevin Kelly, Bernie Kelly, Jimmy Sullivan. Jimmy's an excellent pianist and puts me to shame. And he plays the xylophone. He used to play the xylophone during the group.
Wow.
Kevin and his cousin Bernie were great banjoists.
Yeah.
And the three of us together were like St. Mary's, we were bosom buddies.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so I mean, you did other things. Everybody was involved in a sport or some other activity. But with that core group, when you joined the Bunker Hillbillies, you couldn't wait to get there.
Yeah.
You couldn't wait to get there. You couldn't wait to get up to practice. You couldn't wait to get up to perform.
And it shows now that you're still together this many years later, and you still kept the talent.
Yeah, the alumni, I want to give a shout out, I guess, to Timmy Walsh, because in the mid-'80s, he got the bug that said, we never thanked Bob. And he started to find all the alumni. And I think it was 85 or 86, we put 40 guys on a float and went in the Bunker Hill Day Parade with Bob in front of us and his wife. And
I'm so glad that
it was,
happened. Yeah.
it was, it was a magical day because it was like Elvis came back to the town as he's going through the town in his uniform, and people are running up to the car shaking his hand.
I bet.
And they couldn't believe what we were doing. We were playing all the music. We put a generator on there. We had some keyboard going, and then followed it up a few years later in '91 on the 50th anniversary. And Bob actually performed with us. He was in his 80s.
Wow.
And he got up on the float, and he performed all the music with us. So that was his that, and they made him. I think he got a lifetime member at the Boys Club. And another thing for him, Charlie McGonigal was very key in that.
Wonderful.
And he got him going, got the element going, and again he performed with us. So we got performing with him a couple more times.
That's wonderful.
It was a blast. And when I saw the reunion and I saw the way the kids reacted, I kind of felt bad that I said that this was dying out. And I went up to the club and I said, look, I'm working in Boston. I've got some time in my hands. Is there anything available that, I can play the keyboard, I can play the banjo. I was a former teacher at that point. And I said, could I take my hand and try doing it? And sure enough, they had a grant that was sitting there that was unused for music. And we were able to purchase some instruments and get the band going again. We put out the call, and I was getting sons, and this time I was getting daughters.
Fantastic.
Because at that point,
Great.
the Boys and Girls Club had merged, and you had to get boys and girls. So I did that for about 3 years. The day I started it up, one of the guys that was in my group showed up at the door. It was Barry Baker. And he showed up at the door with a handmade tub drum and a handmade racket squad, and he said, can I help you? So the two of us together, and he helped us a lot, with the percussion, because he was a drummer and he knew what he was doing. And the kids just came to it. They flocked back to it just like it never left.
Oh, isn't that wonderful?
And the only TV spot I think we got back then, because all the kids' shows had ended, we got a spot with Joyce Cole Haywick.
Nice.
We performed in front of the Constitution, and Joyce came down, and she didn't actually come down. You know how television works.
Yes.
They send the reporter out and it makes it look like she's there. And those kids, that's on film, and those kids have it forever.
Oh, that's
So,
wonderful.
and they loved it. And what it brought out in children, I think there's an element in a child that says, I want to be a ham. And you see it in your children.
Yeah, yeah.
You grab the microphone and you sing. Well, you're singing in front of sometimes 1,500 people, and we did. I mean, a lot of times we were in Boston at United Way campaigns, New England Life Hall, John Hancock.
Wonderful.
It was a blast.
Let's get into some of the photos.
Sure.
I know you were kind enough to send them, and my brother Buddy sent 2 or 3 of them too. If we can get some of the photos, David, can you show up some of the photos? Oh, here we go.
Okay, this is, I mentioned we did a reunion, and in 2009, with the help of the Charlestown Historical Society, we had a reunion at the Knights of Columbus. And the money raised went to making a display. Now, in the display, on the lower left, you'll see the tub drum. In the middle is the percussion section, which was the washboard that you could, when that rat-a-tat-tat you hear in a lot of the background music, that's the washboard. And there's a cymbal on it, and there's horns, and the songs were tailored to that instrument.
Wow.
The bottom, at the red box on the bottom, that's the kazoo box.
Oh.
So if you were tabbed as a singer,
Yeah.
your secondary responsibility was to play the kazoo. So we'd sing a song, we'd sing a verse of a song, you'd play the kazoo for a verse, and then you sing the song again. I think that's a uniform shirt that's on the bottom. And there's the top left is the Nixon picture. I think we have a better close-up of that.
Yeah. That's
the
great.
banners.
Now, my brother was so talented. He played the spoons, to the dismay of my mother, because there wasn't a spoon in the house that wasn't flattened on the bottom. So, but he was good at it to this day. Oh, here we go. Here's President Nixon.
Yeah, in December of 1969, Bob at a practice, I can still remember it like it was yesterday. We got the main group was 25 kids, but his subgroup was called the Ranch House 7, that he would take on smaller venues. And most of our shows were, I mean, luckily he got us on TV in Boston, but a lot of our shows were for elderly, and they were nursing homes and hospitals, and going into VA hospitals for the vets. And this particular photo showed up. Do you remember the Record American? Obviously you do.
Sure, yeah.
It's now the Herald, I think,
Yeah.
right? The center photo in the Record American, the day after, was this photo.
Isn't that
And I think the
wonderful?
caption was, Hub Boys Swing with the President, or
Oh, of
something
course,
like that.
Hub Boys, not Charlestown Boys, yeah.
It was a boys' club convention dinner, and they picked us up at I forget the hotel, maybe it was the Statler or something, in limos,
Oh,
brought
here's
us to the
Bob.
White House, and it's Bob Munstead with Alex. Up on the upper left is his marionette puppets. Now, I believe his daughter, and I think they were going to watch or follow it up on YouTube. One of his daughters still does the Punch and Judy and the marionettes.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful.
And his son Peter, now Bob lived in Needham because he could get some rest from kids. If he lived in Charlestown, we never would have left him alone. He married
Can you go
a
back to
woman-
the previous picture? There we go. What's this?
This is the Ranch House 7.
Oh, okay.
I'm second from the left there on the banjo.
Oh, okay.
Second from the right, excuse me. I think on the left is Billy Lynch. Going left to right, then Jimmy Millar. Gentleman behind the Racket Squad was Bobby Parisi. I think Timmy Walsh is up on the door behind me.
Oh, okay.
And the guy that's hidden might be Johnny Kevel, but I'm not sure.
Oh, wow.
And Billy Ryan is the one far right with the banjo. So that was one of the first Ranch House 7 groups. And I think that was in front of the Boys Club as a picture.
Oh, God. Now, I have a nephew, John Scannell, that was a member, and a nephew on the Giordano side, Michael Giordano, that was a member.
Yeah, I
also.
remember that name. I remember.
Yeah, yeah.
Now,
Okay, what's this?
this I think is, I want to say 50s or early 60s, and to me it looks like Pleasure Island.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And if you notice on the lower right, Bob is playing a portable piano.
That's portable.
A lot of times he would play the accordion
Yeah, I
as
remember that,
the accompaniment.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Oh, what do we got here?
Again, I'm not sure of the year, but it was before me, and I think probably late 50s, early 60s. It's aboard the USS Boston.
Oh, that is great. We have 3 minutes left. Okay. Oh,
This
look
one's
at this.
going way back.
Oh,
Look how
yeah.
young Bob looks.
And look at the outfits.
Yeah, the outfits changed to the standard hillbilly uniform in the 50s.
Now, that's not a girl in the middle with the...
No, that's
golden.
actually, I think these were called, Bob had a skit group
Yeah.
called the Bunker Hill Jacks, too.
Oh, wow.
And they played music, and I'm guessing that this was a World War II veteran
Yeah,
that he knew, or it's just one of the visits that they made to the hospitals.
that's wonderful.
So, and you can see the smile on his face, you know, on Bob's face.
Oh, look at the gun. I just noticed the
Yeah.
gun next to the girlie. Yeah.
I mean, in the 40s and the 50s, all you had to do was say Western, and kids just loved it.
Do we have any more photos?
I think he went through most of them.
Okay.
Now that display case, oh
Yes.
no, this is a great one. This
That's
is at
Major Mudd?
Yeah, it's Major Mudd.
Ah,
That's actually not on Major Mudd's show, but he came to the Boys Club.
wonderful.
And every year we had a show called the Heyday, where we'd sell tickets for 25 cents, and that whole game room at the Boys Club would fill up with seats. And the Bunker Hillbillies would perform, and the Junior Wranglers, who was the farm team, would perform. And then
Look at
we'd
the
have a
boys.
guest. We'd have a
The
guest.
boys are having a wonderful time.
Look at them, they're
look at
laughing
them
at them, yeah.
laughing and everything. Well,
He was a genuine.
crazy man.
He was crazy, but
He was funny.
you know, you looked at those celebrities at that time,
Yes.
and Major Mudd really liked kids.
Yeah.
He really did. There was a genuineness about him that even I felt, and I was a young kid. So that was Channel 7, but he came to the club and
That's
performed.
great. That is
And
really good.
rumor has it Bob wrote his theme song, the "I'll Be Blasting You."
Wow.
So
Oh, wow. Oh, well, this has been great. And, you know, I apologize that we had to, because of time, do it in 2 parts.
that's fine.
But it will be a whole show when
It's put together,
it's
sure.
put together. It'll be fine. But can I ask you, would you come back in the spring?
If we got more to talk about, sure.
Well,
Actually, I can dig up now. In 2009, the Historical Society, and I found it, put together a DVD
Oh, nice.
that has some live shots of the group in the 50s, and it has music behind it that you can hear. So we can spice it up a little bit. I'll get you something ahead of time.
Great, great. Yeah, we'll have time to work on it now.
Yeah,
And maybe you can bring back some of the alumnus to play for us?
it's possible.
We'll try that. We've
It's
got time to
possible.
work on that.
It's possible.
Because I apologize to everyone that tuned in, and it just got a little crazy, but we will, you will see the show in its entirety, and I'm going to twist this young man's, young to me, his arm to come back in the spring. So, and do you have a Facebook page or something?
There is a Bunker Hillbilly Facebook page.
And what is that?
It's Bunker Hillbillies.
Bunker
Just do a search.
Billies. All right, great.
There is a few hillbillies that are out there performing in rock bands today.
Wow.
Jimmy Honahan is a close friend of mine. He plays in a group called Perfect Crime. They play up on the North Shore. Larry Smith plays down at Toby Keith's down in Foxborough in a group called 36 Red, 30 Red 6. It's one of those.
Wow.
And I'm playing on the North Shore with Ripcord.
Good for you.
So we keep it, the music, it brought out the music, you never knew it.
Yeah.
And you just keep playing.
Good for you.
Keeps me young.
You look like a kid. We grew up across the street from each other on Quarter Street in Charlestown.
I was in a house a lot.
Yeah, which
Yes.
was wonderful. My mother loved to have the kids coming and going. It was great. How much time do we have now on this? Do you know? We got to wrap it up, as I thought.
Okay, wrap it up.
Steve, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
This was so enjoyable. And you have to come back in the spring, and we'll pick up from here. Okay?
We'll get Kevin on. I'll twist his arm.
Yes, let's get Kevin Kelly on.
Okay.
So with that, thanks for tuning in, and totally enjoyable. This part of Charlestown from, started over 50 years ago, right? And right up until the late 80s when you had it. So great, great memories. So thank you again, Steve. And until next time, I'm Kathy Giordano, and good night, and remember, take care of one another. Bye-bye.